नमस्कार विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, खूप सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांच्या डिमांड नंतर आपण आपली इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच इंग्लिशमध्ये सुरू करत आहोत. ही इंग्लिशमधील बॅच मी जवळपास सर्वच्या सर्व लक्ष्मीकांत कव्हर करण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. ही इंग्लिश मीडियममधल्या बॅचची तुम्हाला एक नोट्ससुद्धा मिळेल आणि यासोबतच तुम्हाला या बॅचचे सर्वच्या सर्व व्हिडिओज, आपलं जे ज्ञानदीप अकॅडमीचा लाल कलरचा लोगो असणारा ॲप आहे, या लाल कलरचा लोगो असणाऱ्या ॲपवर तुम्हाला सर्वच्या सर्व बॅच मिळेल. मग या बॅचला ॲक्सेस किती असेल, व्हिडिओज केव्हा अपलोड केले जातील, तुम्ही ते व्हिडिओज किती दिवस पाहू शकता, या सर्व बाबतीतील सर्वच्या सर्व सूचना त्या ॲपवरच त्या ठिकाणी सूचना या सदरामध्ये तुम्हाला दिलेली आहे. तर मी तुम्हाला सर्वांना सुचवेल, ज्या विद्यार्थ्यांना इंग्लिश मीडियममधनं इंडियन पॉलिटीची बॅच हवी होती, तुम्ही ही बॅच नक्की जॉईन करा. तुमच्या मित्रांसोबत सुद्धा शेअर करा. यामध्ये मी तुम्हाला प्रत्येक कन्सेप्ट सांगण्याचा प्रयत्न तर केला आहेच, मात्र या कन्सेप्टच्या सोबतच त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जो महत्त्वाचा कंटेंट आहे आणि त्या टॉपिकशी निगडीत जे महत्त्वाचा फॅक्च्युअल डेटा आहे, जो तुमच्या परीक्षेसाठी अत्यंत उपयुक्त असतो, हा सर्वच्या सर्व डेटा सुद्धा मी त्या ठिकाणी देण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे. सो तुम्हाला सर्वांना विनंती की बॅच शेअर करा आणि जॉईन करा. थँक्यू. हॅलो फ्रेंड्स, अ वॉर्म वेलकम टू एव्हरीवन टू ज्ञानदीप अकॅडमी. टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी वन ऑफ द व्हेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन in Indian polity. To what extent we can make changes in the fundamental right? This is the very interesting question we are going to study over here. So keep focused of this point and very, very important for all kinds of examination. So the topic is amendability of fundamental right. It means to what extent we can make changes into Indian constitution. So let's go into it. To understand amendability of fundamental right, first we have to go through all these constitutional legal development which have occurred in the Supreme Court as well as in Parliament and while making changes into the constitution. But to understand this case, first we have to understand two very important differences between two most credible parts, two most integral part of Indian constitution, which are fundamental rights and DPSP. Let's go into it. Now see, I will just give you explanation to this point shortly. See, first let's think about fundamental right, and second it's about DPSP. Fundamental right are given in part 3 of Indian Constitution. DPSPs are given in part 4 of Indian Constitution. Fundamental rights is justiciable part of Indian Constitution. This is very, very important. DPSPs are non-justiciable part of Indian Constitution. What is justiciability? Here, Article 13, it says anything. Now, when I'm using word anything, it means any law, any statute, any government resolution, government regulation, any order passed by government. Anything which violates fundamental rights shall be declared as null and void. That shall be declared as invalid under Article 13 of Indian Constitution. Anything. So, fundamental rights is a justiciable part of Indian Constitution. DPSPs are non-justiciable part of Indian Constitution. Now, fundamental rights are individualistic in nature. This is very important thing. Fundamental rights are individualistic in nature. DPSPs are collectivist in nature. DPSPs are collectivist in nature. Now, यहाँ पे फंडामेंटल राइट और डीपीएसपी दोनों में खानदानी दुश्मनी है, पुरखों की दुश्मनी है. हाउ? सो हियर राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी was a fundamental right. Right to property was a fundamental right. And here a fundamental principle was there, which was Article 39B. Article 39B said that the means of production, Article 39B says the means of production, right, like land, minerals, forest, wildlife, anything which comes under means of production should be equally distributed among the people. Now, to implement Article 39B, what government did? Government went for land reforms. You must have heard about it. Government went for land reforms. What government did? Government collected all surplus lands from zamindars and all those bigwigs, and government pulled that land at a place, and then government distributed this land to landless people, laborer, tenant, and all those people. But collecting land from the people who have lot of money and distributing this land to others has affected one important point, and it has affected right to property. It affected what? It affected right to property. Now, basically, land reforms was a non-justiciable part. So you cannot go to the court if you do not get land from the government. But right to property was a justiciable part. So you have the right to approach Supreme Court if at all your property is confiscated, if your property is violated by any person in India. And this is the classic conflict between fundamental right and DPSP. Now, how this classic conflict unfolds between, and how it is a kind of what we can say tug of war between executive and judiciary, or legislature and judiciary, we will try to understand this in a very simple manner. Now let's go for it. So what happened in the beginning? Government made first Constitutional Amendment Act, and government added 9th schedule to Indian Constitution. First Amendment Act 1951 was made. Government added 9th schedule to Indian Constitution. Original Indian Constitution had 8th schedule only. Now here government added 9th schedule to Indian Constitution. Under this 9th schedule to Indian Constitution, government made many land reform laws and measures were taken, and this affected the right to property of many people. Now when right to property of many people was affected, at that time Shankari Prasad approached Supreme Court, and this is famous as the Shankari Prasad case of 1951. Now in Shankari Prasad case, Shankari Prasad challenged the First Amendment Act to the Indian Constitution, which added 9th schedule and which also curtailed right to property of many people. Right to property of many people was curtailed. Right to property was violated. So when the people approached Supreme Court under Article 13 and Article 32, then what happened? Then Supreme Court observed two important judgments. Supreme Court gave two important judgments. What it said? It said Article 368, which is amendment to the Indian Constitution. Article 368 gives power to Parliament to amend the Constitution. Article 368 gives power to Parliament to amend the Constitution, so fundamental rights can be amended. So it has said categorically that Article 368 is a power to amend the Constitution, so fundamental rights can be amended. Also, Supreme Court observed a very important statement about Article 13. What was Article 13? Remember, I told you just few minutes back. Here I told you Article 13, it said, what it said? It said anything which violates fundamental rights shall be declared as null and void under Article 13. So Article 13 invalidated all the provisions which are against the fundamental rights. But here what Supreme Court said? Here Supreme Court said Article 13 is applicable only to ordinary laws. Article 13 is applicable only to ordinary laws. Article 13 is not applicable to Constitutional Amendment Act. Clear? It means this First Amendment Act and the judgment of Supreme Court in Shankari Prasad case gave upper hand to whom? It gave upper hand to legislature and executive to make laws which can make changes into the fundamental rights. I request every one of you to go through these videos time and again, because these videos are very, very important to understand amendability of fundamental rights. Now, what it said, Article 13 is applicable only to ordinary laws. It is not applicable to Constitutional Amendment Act. So this gave power to Parliament to make changes to amend fundamental right, and accordingly Parliament was in a spree. Parliament made many amendments. Parliament carried out First Amendment Act, Fourth Amendment Act and Seventh Amendment Act was made. Parliament made these three important amendment acts after Shankari Prasad judgment. Basically, then came another important case. Now the second important case came in 1967, which is famous as a Golaknath case. Now here one thing you have to keep in mind. Whenever you study about Supreme Court, always remember Supreme Court has another definition also. What is that definition? Supreme Court is basically a court of review. I repeat once again. Supreme Court is basically a court of review. It means what? It means Supreme Court has the right to review and change its earlier judgment. Supreme Court has the right to review and change its earlier judgment. So, in Golaknath case in the year 1967, Supreme Court reviewed its earlier decision and changed the decision. And what Supreme Court said? Supreme Court said fundamental rights are transcendental and immutable. Fundamental rights are pious thing, so they cannot be changed. Fundamental rights extend beyond constitution. Fundamental rights extend throughout the constitution. So fundamental rights are transcendental. Fundamental rights are immutable. Fundamental rights cannot be changed. See, this stand is exactly opposite to Shankari Prasad case. In Shankari Prasad case, Supreme Court said Article 368 is a power to amend the constitution and the constitution can be amended. Sorry, fundamental rights can be amended. But here in Golaknath case, Supreme Court said that fundamental rights are transcendental, immutable, and they cannot be changed. Now, this statement goes against the policies of the government to implement DPSP. Now, Article 368, here also Supreme Court, what it said Article 368 is just a procedure to amend the constitution. Article 368 is not a power. See, it means it is just only a procedure to amend the constitution. Article 368 do not give power upon the parliament to amend the constitution. So, parliament cannot change the fundamental rights. In first case, what Supreme Court said? In first case, Supreme Court said parliament can, or Article 368 is a power to amend the constitution. But here what Supreme Court said? No. Article 368 is just only a procedure to amend the constitution and it is not a power to amend the constitution. So it is complete reversal than Shankari Prasad case. Now this goes against the legislative and executive agendas to which legislature under the leadership of Indira Gandhi reacted in a very strong manner. What she did? She brought two important amendments. Indira Gandhi brought 24th Amendment Act and 25th Amendment Act. Today we will study 24th Amendment Act and later on we will study 25th Amendment Act during fundamental rights. Now see, the judgment of Golaknath case was not digested by legislature and executive so easily, so they reacted in a sharpest way possible through 24th Amendment Act of 1971. Now till 24th of Amendment Act of 1971, everything was going on based on the interpretation of the provisions. Everything was being interpreted by Supreme Court and Supreme Court was giving its own interpretation based on the legality, rationality, rule of law and principles of natural justice. Now here, what Parliament did? Parliament brought the words. Parliament changed the linings, Parliament changed the sentences. And now what Parliament did? Parliament made changes in Article 368 and made changes in Article 13. So these two articles were amended by 24th Amendment. Article 368 and Article 13 were amended. Now what they did, what they said Article 368, say these are the linings of Parliament. These are the things given in Constitutional Amendment Act of Parliament. And what it said Article 368 is power as well as procedure to amend the constitution. It means it says Article 368 gives power to Parliament to make changes into the constitution. Article 368 is a power as well as procedure to make changes into the constitution. So it gives power as well as procedure to the Parliament to make changes into the constitution. And also it specifically mentioned Article 13 is not applicable to Constitutional Amendment Act. So till now, whatever the judgments were going on based on interpretation, they changed the picture completely and they said, now no interpretation, we will write down these lines. They said Article 368 is power as well as procedure to amend the constitution, and they said Article 13 is not applicable to Constitutional Amendment Act. Then came Keshavananda Bharati case on 24th of April 1973, that is after 2 years of 24th Amendment of 1971. Now this is very landmark judgment from the legal and constitutional development of Indian polity. Now this Keshavananda Bharati case, it upheld, that is it validated the constitutional validity of 24th Amendment Act of 1971. It said yes, whatever amendment made by 24th Amendment Act of 1971 is valid, it is true. Now it means what is true? It means Article 368 is a power as well as procedure to amend the constitution. What it said? It said Article 368 is power as well as procedure to amend the constitution. But what it rejected? It rejected that Article 13 is not applicable to Constitutional Amendment Act, is not accepted. Why? Because here they gave a very novel concept to Indian Constitution. They gave basic structure of Indian Constitution. See, Supreme Court came up with a very organic concept for Indian Constitution, and that organic structure is basic structure of Indian Constitution. Supreme Court said that this Constitution has a basic structure of its own, and no one can violate this basic structure, nor legislature, nor executive, nor judiciary can violate this basic structure. Now, legislature and executive, they were in question. What is basic structure? Can you please define? Supreme Court said, no, we will not define basic structure. Now, why they did not define basic structure? Because whenever you define anything, that definition limits the scope of that particular object, that particular concept, that particular phenomena. So, Supreme Court said, the basic structure of Indian Constitution is inexhaustive. It cannot be defined. Then again, when it was question time and again, what is actually this basic structure? So, at that time, Supreme Court said, the India of future, which was there in the minds of constitution maker, will be basic structure of Indian Constitution. Now the constitution makers of the Constituent Assembly is not alive. Then who has the right to go into their minds who are not alive? So the right goes in the hands of Supreme Court through judicial review. Clear? So they wanted to interpret this constitution in a progressive manner through use of basic structure. Clear? So this thing made very, very clear. Now, what is the judgment? Can we amend constitution? Yes. Can we amend fundamental right? Yes. Can we amend entire constitution? Yes. Can we amend entire fundamental right? Yes. But while making changes into the fundamental right and constitution, you should not violate basic structure of Indian Constitution. It means you cannot change entire things, or it means whatever changes you want to make, these changes should be constitutional, these changes should be legal, these changes should be rational, these changes should be in line with the ethos, values, ideals which were expected by Constituent Assembly in the days to come. This is basic structure. So, Parliament can amend fundamental rights, but while making changes, fundamental rights, basic structure of the Constitution should not be violated. 24th Amendment Act, to which Supreme Court came through Keshwananda Bharati case on 24th of April 1973. Again, Indira Gandhi reacted to this thing in a very sharpest manner through 42nd Amendment Act. This 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, also called as Mini Constitution. 42nd Amendment Act of 1976 is also called as Mini Constitution, and this 42nd Amendment Act made an attempt to have paradigm changes into the Indian Constitution. What is meaning of paradigm changes? To have fundamental changes into the Indian Constitution. 42nd Amendment Act of 1976 made an attempt to have fundamental change in Indian Constitution. That's why it is also called as Mini Constitution. Now here, many changes were made. Out of those many changes regarding amendment, Article 368 was amended. And here, it has been clearly mentioned that there is no limitation on amending power of Parliament. Article 368 was amended, and here Parliament clearly mentioned that there is no limitation, there is no limit on amending power of the Indian Parliament, and no amendment can be questioned in Parliament on contradiction with any fundamental right. To which Supreme Court again contradicted in a very simple manner. To which, you know what Supreme Court said in 1980s of Minerva Mills case? Supreme Court invalidated both the above provisions, and Supreme Court said those provisions excluded judicial review, which is basic structure of Indian Constitution. It means it said, yes, if you want to say that Article 368 is unlimited power, we do not have any objection. You can say like that. But while using this unlimited power, you should not violate basic structure of Indian Constitution. Right? You have right to make changes in any part, every part, whatever wish into the Indian Constitution, we will not object you. But while making these changes, you should not violate basic structure of Indian Constitution. It means it has put a very organic limitation on the working of the Constitution, on structure of Constitution, on functioning of the Constitution, and that organic limitation is a basic structure of the Indian Constitution. Then came Vaman Rao case of 1981. Now in Vaman Rao case, Supreme Court adhered to basic structure of Indian Constitution. But here it gave a very important judgment. Here Supreme Court said, basic structure will be applicable to constitutional amendment enacted after Keshwanand Bharati case, that is after 24th of April 1973. The concept of basic structure is not applicable to cases before 24th of April 1973. It is applicable only to the cases which are after 24th of April 1973. This is very important judgment. Now, what are the doctrines of basic structure of Indian Constitution? Here remember, the doctrine of basic structure of Indian Constitution has not been defined anywhere in the Constitution. Why it has not been defined? Because whenever we define anything, its scope gets limited. So we have not defined it anywhere in the Constitution. Ingredients of the basic structure, you can take it from the book on M. Lakshmikant, where the list is not exhaustive, it is endless. It will keep on increasing, as basic structure of Indian Constitution is a very organic concept. Now, some of the recent amendments which you have to keep on updating. 95th Amendment Act, it extended reservation till 2020. 96th Amendment Act substituted ODA for ORIA. 97th Amendment Act gave constitutional status to cooperative societies in fundamental rights. 98th Amendment Act, Hyderabad Karnataka Development Region. 99th Amendment Act, collegium system was scrapped, which we will study during the topic on judiciary. 100th Amendment Act, India-Bangladesh land boundary agreement was settled. 101st Amendment Act, it was about GST, which gave constitutional status to GST Council. So that's all from my side. Keep watching and we'll come with more and more number of topics. Till then, thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.